What is one woman? What is a show? Oh my god, I'm totally kidding. That's not at all what this is. Oh my god, were you guys freaked out for a second? Like, oh Jesus Christ. It said one woman show and I thought I trusted her and we're gonna learn about her period for 30 minutes. I'm totally kidding. Hi! Hello everybody! Hi! My name is Taylor K. Phillips. I go by all three names because I have my shit together. Because when you have three names, when somebody has three names, you know that they've thought about it and they plan on seeing them somewhere, they have a plan for their names, right? It's either going to be on the cover of a book or in a program because they're in a play or in the newspaper because they assassinated someone. Those are the three. It's actor, writer, or assassin, or if you're John Wilkes Booth, you get 2 for 3. So that's fun for him. And say you guys are oh cool, that's great. Oh, what a fun little assassin joke because your name is Taylor K. In New York, I have to be I have 2 first names and here's why and there's a reason for it. And in Missouri, it's yeah, sure, fine. You got 2 first names. That's how that works. My name was supposed to be Taylor Blades Phillips. Think about how cool that would have been for 1 second. Yeah, I'm so right. Thank you so much. Because it's my mother's maiden name. And so they're oh, Taylor Blades Phillips. We'll call her all 3. It'll be her middle name, her maiden name. But then they got to I'm assuming there's a birth certificate office. I don't know. I have paid my gynecologist a lot of money so that I'd never have to know what happens after that. But I'm assuming they went into the office, into the birth certificate desk. And they were okay, we're getting ready. It's going to be Taylor Blades Phillips. And then my mom, I think, turns to my dad and is I don't know, is that maybe totally unisex? Do we maybe want to let people know that she's a female? And my father, who has just watched her expel a human being from her body, wisely says, whatever you want, sure, I support you. Do you need more ice chips? Here, do this, have it. And so that's how I became Taylor K, which is lovely. It's my grandmother's middle name. It's my aunt's middle name. But I missed out on Blades. How cool would that have been? I could have been I don't know, it would have been my middle name. It's her middle name. It would have been a ninja star thrower thing, or I don't know, a hockey player. Is there hockey here? I don't know. And or maybe just a really badass hedge trimmer. I'd be it's my middle name, so you know. But I got K, and it ended up being good because I was a shit as a child. And, which I'm gonna curse intermittently throughout the show because I said on the program that it was rated R and then realized that none of my set is really rated R, so I gotta earn it somehow. So I will be cursing just fucking whenever. But so my middle name was K and I was a little shit of a child, and so I loved to play the game where I would be all around, friends or people that I didn't know, and I'd be guess my middle name, it starts with K. And I would just wait. They would go, Kathleen, no. Kim, no. Kate, Catherine, no, you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna get it. What? Yeah, exactly. You're so helpful. Thank you so much. And, they would, Karen, Caitlin, all of them, and then either we would get all the way through and I'd be you're never gonna get it, it's K, or one of my friends would come in and they'd be it's K, bitch, but they didn't say bitch, but the show's rated R. But so, that was fun, and all I think about when I think about when I was a child and doing all of that stuff is I'm very glad the word extra wasn't a thing that we applied to human beings, because I was extra everything. I talked loud and I talked a lot and I said things without really knowing about them, and I know you're all sitting there being bitch, why are you saying this in the past tense? Well, now it's because it's for my career, and so it's ambitious, not annoying, and if you think anything different, then you're sexist and I hate you. Because sexism is bad also. But sometimes people do things like that where they just decide that any time they feel uncomfortable, it's sexism. And I'm going to do a tutorial for all of us on what mansplaining really is. Because I gotta do it. I'm gonna sit. Okay. So here's the thing. Oh, that bumped. Okay, so here's the thing. This is a real story. This is a woman, an environmental scientist. Her name was Rebecca Solnit. Okay? Sure, it is, still is. She's alive. She's not dead. And she's at a party and meets this guy, this male, who is also an environmental science person. Or maybe he's just tangentially studying it. Anyway. And she says, I am an environmental scientist. And he says, oh, well, you know what you need to read. And then proceeds to, over the objections of her friend, explain her own book to her. Okay? That is 100% true. That is what mansplaining is. Okay? Here's what mansplaining is not. Hey, Tess, my sister, what time is it? And her boyfriend answers, not mansplaining, just man talking, right? Someone saying, James Madison was the 17th president of the United States. And someone saying, actually, he was the 4th, and Andrew Johnson was the 17th. Not mansplaining, just someone who knows the presidents in order better than you, okay? Not mansplaining, just man talking. Man talking is its own set of problems, but we don't have enough time for that right now. So sexism is bad, but also selective. But here's the other thing about sexism, is that sometimes it's very weird. And people do very weird things with it. Because I saw recently, and I'm going to call this a mom meme, because it's just a picture with text on it. But moms think it's memes. And fine. You know, fine. It's a picture with text on it. We'll call it a meme, okay? And it's Adele, bless her, and Taylor Swift, bless her, also. And it's just two pictures of them next to each other. And the text reads, these women are the same age. One is a mother. One is mentally stuck in middle school. And I'm just sitting there like, these people have quite the misconception of the barrier to entry to motherhood. Because those things are not mutually exclusive. And again, I've paid my gynecologist a lot of money so that I don't have to think about this right now. But that's like, you know, one of these people made ham for dinner. The other one hasn't called their mother in 14 years. It's like, they let you make ham without checking your call records. Right? Like, it's this very weird thing where we assign meaning to things that really have a different meaning, right? It's like, you know, mansplaining, man talking, that's different. Responsible, motherhood, it's different, right? There's like a single barrier to entry and it's not that difficult. So it's like, it's a thing, right? But the thing about those two singers is like, I love them and it's fun to imagine them both like doing whatever their thing is, except for Adele as a mom sort of like amazes me. Because Adele's voices don't sound like they go together. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's like, this bubbly Brit, and she's like doing all these things, and she's so fun, and then all of a sudden, she destroys your insides, like, with her eyes and her voice and everything that she is. And, like, she puts children to bed, you know? Like, she's like, oh, little, you know, I don't know her kid's name. Pumpernickel will do it. It's like, oh, little Pumpernickel, it's time for bed. All right, are you ready? Are you ready? Oh, okay, Mummy's gonna sing you. Bye, baby, in the tree tower, when the wind blows. No, it's go to sleep, please, for Mummy, when the wind blows, the great will. Right, and that's bedtime, and then we gotta go to preschool, right? Like, and you know Adele, she's like the life of preschool. It's like, oh, everyone gather round. We're going to learn about our bodies. We're going to learn about all of our body parts. Are you ready? Everybody go, head, shoulder, knee, and toe. Date time. It's just gotta be weird. But here's the thing, if I had kids, I would also use bedtime to work on some things, you know, because, you know, I have the gift of the voice, and I would be putting my kids to bed and just like, okay, you all, like, okay, mommy's gonna try something different. She's gonna try a new riff and let me know what you think, okay? And she will raise you up on eagle. No, stop crying, okay? It's bedtime, but if you're gonna cry, like, harmonize, okay? Bear you on the breath of dawn. Sweetheart, you're really just sort of interrupting. Mommy's getting to the high note, okay? So just make it shine like the sun. That's when you applaud, sweetheart. That was really impressive. That was an E. My children are going to disappoint me. I don't want them. No, I actually don't want kids, and nobody tell my mother that because we have to have another conversation separately. Jill, don't tell my mom. We have to have another conversation separately, but here's why I don't want kids, and it's Twitter. Because here's when whatever they've decided to call the generation right before me, like the generation that babysat me, they're calling them millennials or something. I'm not like messing that up because it's like a cute joke. I literally have no idea how to fucking say it because this is an R-rated show. And whatever they call, that's the last group of people that learned about like parenthood from people that were invested in children in the immediate vicinity of people that they were talking to about childhood. So it's like, oh, you know, like parenting is so hard, but like your mom and I love you, or like, oh, you know, it's really hard, but you know, when you guys get older, you know, it's gonna be great. And that's when you see it, right? When you are the child, or when you're older, and I assume around your friends who are like just happy to be out of the house, I've learned, and they're just like, yeah, no, but it's like so rewarding. And it's like, no, I have Twitter. I know that it sucks like 95% of the time, right? Like here are the things I know about motherhood from straight up Twitter. You never go to the bathroom by yourself. That like kids say cute things, but like most of the time they're kind of mean, and just like, and then they make messes, and you're always there, and you never sleep. There are real memes about that, and mom memes about it, because the moms are making the memes. And it's like, I can already make enough jokes about parenthood just using Twitter that like I don't need them for material. So like, I have no interest in like raising a child. Very interested in giving birth. Stay with me. Half of my, I don't know, we'll call it ego as a human being, comes from the fact that I could manufacture a human being inside of me, expel it, and then feed it using straight up just my body. I have no desire to do whatever comes after. Okay? But I just feel like otherwise it's a waste of machinery. Like, that's just, like, cool and here and has this, like, very awesome purpose that is far superior to, you know, like, 50% of the population. And I would love to, like, get the mileage out of that and then be done. I am 100% on board with the consequences of sex and not so much with the consequences of birth. You know? And this is because, for a couple of reasons, but, you know, first of all, like, kids are experiments. Let's be real. It's sort of like, oh, is this gonna make you different from your friends in a character building way or in a therapy needing way? We'll see. We'll see. My dad is from the Boot Heel, Missouri, from New Madrid, Missouri, and my parents raised me to say yes ma'am and no ma'am and yes sir and no sir here, where it's like not a common thing. It's not like a crazy look at you like you just fell off the back of a fucking pickup truck like it is in New York, but here it's a little bit like, you know, like I got like kind of made fun of, and sometimes, you know, moms would get mad because they'd be like, oh, you made me feel so old, but you know, my parents just kind of went with it. They're like, yeah, go do this, we'll see how that works out. And it was like fine, and I'm like more resilient because of it, but that kind of got really wrong, you know? Like, and I get that my parents wanted to instill, my parents were very, very supportive of me, which was, from what I gather, difficult. Here's an example or three. When I was like 2, I went to ski school. And my parents are very supportive of like me and my endeavors, and I had like lots of flashcards and listened to classical music and all that shit. Okay, this is not like my parents underestimated me, but they come to, daycare, put your child away while you go down the mountain after, and they're like, hey, we're coming to get our daughter, and the woman comes in and goes, did you know that Taylor can read? And my dad goes, she can't read. She can't read. And they're like, no, she's reading. He's like, that's fine, she can't read. And they're like, no, come on. So I am sitting, surrounded by people holding fucking court with green eggs and ham. And just here I am, Sam I am, turning pages. Oh man, I am reading. And my dad's like, she's not looking at the book. She memorized the book. My dad has like a little bit of an accent. Like, she memorized the book. It's fine. She can't read. Let's go home. And I was like, Dad, I'm not finished reading. And he knows that I have books memorized because every time when he would bring me up to my room to put me to bed, I would say, okay, Dad, read me a story. And I would just wait. Because I had the book memorized, and God bless the man if he missed a page, a word, a pronunciation I liked on Thursday. Like, oh man, was he fucking in for it. And, oh man, God bless that man. But sometimes my parents outsourced that whole part of my existence, particularly to 2 young girls at the time, now they're women, named Teresa and Jeanette. And they were 11 and 13 when they first started watching my sister and I, who were about the same distance apart. And they were wonderful. They were perfect in every way. We never watched TV. We always played imaginary games. My mind was expanded, all of these wonderful things. But, oh man, did they have to deal with the likes of me, and did they have quite a time. When I was 7 years old, they were watching us for the whole summer. And they came up with a great activity. They're like, we're going to the store, you're going to pick out sticker books. So you'll pick out sticker books and you'll use those as illustrations and then tell us what you want to say, and we'll write books together. So like Teresa will be with Tess, Jeanette will be with Taylor, and you'll write books together about the stickers, right? They're amazing human beings and like sculpted me or whatever. I'll cry about it later. So I picked out these ballerinas and these horses, and wrote the story of the kidnapped circus girl. I know that I was 7 because I still have the book and all the characters in it are 8, and until I was about 13 years old, anytime I played make-believe, I wanted to be 1 year older. It's a metaphor for how I'm always striving. It's not, I was just a little shit. So Jeanette has been kidnapped. I was very creative. Jeanette has been kidnapped, and they're looking for her, and now they're blah, 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 they're running around, and they're in the bad guy's, mansion house. The bad guy's name is Mr. Bontilli. Thank you. And they turn a corner, and I don't want him to be in the courtyard, but I want something there to scare them. And so I, at 7 years old, turned to Jeanette and say, and they turned to the corner, went into the courtyard, and came face to face with a bust of John Wilkes Booth. I was 7. And Jeanette turns to me and she's like, okay. And draws a bust of John Wilkes Booth. Here's how that all came to pass. Number 1, I watched The Wizard of Oz religiously. And there's the part in the Munchkin song where it's like, you'll be a bust, be a bust, be a bust. And I'm sure that I went what's a bust? And someone explained to me that a bust was something that, a head statue that you revere. And of course, my little brain was like, something I'm gonna know instead of someone else, and I'll be a bitch about it. So I committed that to memory. And then down in our basement, we had these United States history books. We had a ton of them, and I only cared about 2, and it was the Lincoln and Kennedy assassinations, and I just read them all the time. I have no idea why. I still can't explain why. I'm still obsessed with presidential assassinations. How far? We're what? We're 20 minutes into the show, and I've said John Wilkes Booth twice. That's about where we're at as far as like getting a dose of me. So I had decided, in my brain I was like very, like this is the, in my very rule-followy, things are supposed to be a certain way brain, the worst thing that you could do was like revere someone who killed a president. I've had this joke for a really long time and it's not supposed to be prescient, so just like ignore that. So like just whoosh, we're passing right by it. And so that's a thing that people dealing with me had to deal with that I don't know if I would have been able to handle it. Like if I had a kid who would be like, oh, a bust of John Wilkes Booth, I'd be like, you're a freak. Like you're just like me, but you're a freak. As I got older, I transitioned into like nannying children and watching children. And I have a story, and I'm going to tell it, even though you're here. So I watched these 3 beautiful children, and I'm not going to say their names, but you can ask them after the show if you want. And I'm like doing a million things. I was a way worse babysitter than Teresa and Jeanette were. I was like, I want to get brownies, like let's make brownies, and then I like didn't clean up. Like I was the fucking worst. She knows. She came home every day. It's like, thank you for watching my children and sweeping up all your shit right now. And I was like, watch friggin' like Star-Crossed on Disney Channel or whatever. But so one time I was like cleaning up brownies that I had made and like doing a bunch of other things, and my lovely charge, who was 7 at the time, is like sitting on the counter, and she's like, Taylor, can I please have a cup? And I said, yes, dear, just like give me 1 second. Like keep doing my thing. Taylor, can I have a cup? It's like 1 second, babe. I'm like doing a couple. Just hold on. Taylor, can I please have a cup? It's like, hey, bud, I'm doing like 7 different things right now. And she goes, yes, and one of them should be getting me a cup. And I was like, that is rude, but very funny. Here's your cup. It's like my big like babysitting story. And now I live in New York, and what I do for money is I tutor, because I went to Harvard. It's fine, we'll talk about it later. But I like tutor kids for money, and it's an interesting thing, because I tutor in New York City. I work for companies and they charge like way more for my time than the money I get, but we can talk about it later. And it's, besides the fact that I get to like go all over the city and everything, the main thing that surprised me is how much money there is. Because I go into an apartment in New York City and I'm like, oh, all the money is yours. You have it. Like this is like, you have a 2-story apartment in Chelsea, and like your whole wall is a window, and your like kitchen has a bathroom, and like, I don't know, like your child has like 6 Fender guitars or whatever. You have all the money. And then you like go into, the penthouse of straight up one Central Park, like straight up the penthouse of Trump Tower, and you're like, oh no, you have all the money. The whole apartment is white, and she has 2 boys, and they're both teenagers, and I don't know how she does it. We can talk about it later. And then you go into this other one, and you're like, oh, you have a pool in your apartment? And it's just home after home after home after home, and it's just like people are saying that, the money in the U.S. is like so concentrated at no, so many people have so much money. Like it's everywhere. And their kids have their own like sets of issues that come with that, and I certainly don't like bemoan my kids for like, you know, having their own set of issues that come with the privilege that they have, as long as they're not fucking boring. I don't care if you're a 13-year-old girl monster. That's fine. That's your job. I was a 13-year-old girl monster until I was 24. I'm still 24. But like, I'm like kind of fun. You know what I mean? And I've got one girl, I'm not going to say like their names because like I did the whole rules and stuff. And you know, she's a nightmare, but like she listens to screamo music and has like lots of guitars and posters, and like she's mad all the time and like eats cool Japanese food. And I'm like, you're fine. You know what I mean? Like, you're fine. We can have a conversation. Like, you hate the world, but like it's fine, right? And then there's this other 13-year-old that's just like, yeah, sure, whatever. But like not be like she's not even like sulky about it. She's just boring. And I'm like, this I cannot deal with. This I cannot deal with. Your mom like texting me that you're like in a little bit of trouble this week because you like maybe got caught drinking with your friends at 13. I'm like, geez, that's a problem. But also like, fine. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you have angst and I can deal with that. The like, oh, I'm just like late because it was raining and it was like wet. That happened. Guys, I can't tell you how serious I am. She was like waiting under an awning because it was wet and like, but also her phone had died because when you're 13, your phone dies all the time. Oh God, she's the worst. I don't teach her anymore. I'm not gonna tell you her name either. But every once in a while you learn like really cool things from kids. And I have a student, and she's one of my favorites. She's a straight up genius. Like, she's 12, and her favorite book is Hamlet, but it like really is. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, you know, like it's not like, oh, my favorite book is Hamlet because it's like a big one in Shakespeare. It's like, no. She's like, my favorite book is Hamlet because it deals, and I was like, okay, whoa, like, you're the best. And so I was working with her on this paper. She's 12 and she's like in high school. She's a genius. We're on Skype, by the way. We're like on the phone. And she's writing a paper on the Cask of Amontillado, which is a great Edgar Allan Poe short story. And, you know, we're looking at it together in the Google Doc, and we both agree that like a certain sentence is a little bit clunky. And we're just kind of looking at it, and then I say, maybe do this. And I like make a quick change. And this poor little girl on the other end of the phone just goes, I wish I could do that. And I was like, oh, like, sweetheart, no, Katie, that's her name, shit. It's like, no. And I'm like sort of floundering, and I say, I have been doing this for like twice as long as you have. And then I like think about it for a second, and I'm like, yeah, literally every morning I get up and I read and I write and I hear and I say words. And I have been straight up wordsing for twice as long as you have. Like, this isn't like, oh, I've been playing baseball for 10 more years and like once a week I go to the batting cages. No, straight up, exactly the same amount of time as you have. And really more if you count the fact that like you weren't really wordsing for like the first 2. Oh, she's real smart, so like maybe the first 1. Like, it's like, and I was like sort of going on this monologue and like really impressing myself with my own intellect. And she was just kind of like, are you okay? She literally said, no, it's okay, Taylor, like I feel better now. And I was like, no, I'm on to something, like shut up or write it down. Katie. I'm not gonna tell you that she spells it with a Y and no I-E, damn it. But so it's like, so that's like one of the nice things about what I get to do. And like there are kids who, you know, I learn about cool things like Gov Ball. I'm the least cool person that could possibly be in New York around rich teenagers, but I think they love that. You know what I mean? They're completely unimpressed by me as a concept, but they're like, please teach me how to the SAT. Which I mostly would do by telling them that it's a pile of garbage. but also they have to practice anyway. I have one boy, he's my favorite. This isn't like a part of my set, but I'm gonna tell you anyway, because he texted me today, and he was just like, I think I should see you on Friday. I was like, okay, I'm not in town. He goes, all right, message me when you get back. Okay. But he will send me screenshots of his practice test and be like, I don't like this question. Or like, this question is bad because of this. And I pretty much always say, ooh, you still have to answer it and it counts for your grade. But, oh man, kids are great. And it's a great way to like see New York and meet, New York parents and all of that fun stuff. Because the transition to New York from here is actually similar to the transition to Harvard, where I went to college, from here, which is that you're fine and everybody else thinks you're going through crazy ass culture shock. Like, you're just sort of like, oh yes, a city like the one I live in, and everyone's like, how are you doing? Like, you'll be in college straight up, I was like in a line of people, and it was like, oh, where's everyone from? It was one of those, opening day, whatever. Be like, oh, I'm from California, I'm from Washington State, I'm from Alaska, I'm from Florida, I'm from Atlanta, I'm from Missouri. Oh my God, that's far. Do we not? No, we don't have to do the geography test anymore to get the fuck in here? Like, Jesus Christ. It's like, oh, it's so far. Like, how are you liking it here? As if they're like, well, do y'all not kill your own cows or what? Like, I don't know. It's just like, okay. And New York is the same way, except for New York is a little bit better because that's if you say you're from Missouri. If, God help you, you say you are from Kansas City, it goes like this. Oh, where are you from? Kansas City. Oh. The Kansas or Missouri side. And I'm like, oh, I have to suck your dick now. That's the rule. That's how, there are 3 things that I've decided that everybody thinks that nobody knows, that everybody knows. They speak Portuguese in Brazil, David Mamet doesn't write good women, and Kansas City is in Kansas and Missouri. Everybody thinks they're the only people that know those things, and they are so fucking cocky about it. They're like, oh, did you know they actually like speak Portuguese in Brazil? And it's like, everyone does unless they're a woman in a Mamet play. Like, I don't know. Shut up. And then you tell them, then I say like the Missouri side, and then they go like, oh, the good one. And 2 things happen in my brain. One, I want to know how they know that, but also I want this conversation to stop as soon as possible. So I'm just sort of like, okay. And then they, like, it makes me mad when other people do it, but it's very, very true. Which is, when you're in the Midwest, everybody from the Midwest is like its own state, right? So you meet someone who's like, oh, I'm from Kansas City. Oh my God, me too. Oh my God, where? Cleveland. Ah! Do you know Jake? Like, it's the same, right? It's the same. And it's like, oh, isn't it great to be here? Like, yes, I don't have a car, so I can't binge eat and cry. And it's like, yes, it's so hard. And it's like that like type of connection. And in New York, it's the complete opposite. In New York, it's like, oh yeah, I have a friend and they just moved to the city. Oh really? Like, where in the city? Bushwick. That's in Brooklyn. It's in fucking Brooklyn. Okay. Sorry, I don't like know the like boroughs or whatever. I like take the train and try to pay too much money in rent, which we do. And so there's the Midwestern thing, and then there is, like, as I said before, there's the Harvard thing, which in New York is this whole other fucking deal. Okay? Here, you tell somebody that you went to Harvard, and it's like, so here's the thing. I've been saying it a lot because you have to practice how you say it. Because no matter how you say it, when anybody asks, you're doing it wrong, and you're insulting them in some way. Either you're saying it too loud and you're too proud of it, and like, well, aren't you just a cocky little shit? Or you're like too quiet and you don't think that they can handle it. And it's just like, I don't know, do you want a card? Like, I have no idea how to do it. I still don't know how to do it. It's like, I have to practice. But in Missouri, nobody really cares. They're just like, oh, cool. Or like, what? Or, was that expensive? Or, oh, you think you're better than me? Or they don't. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, you know exactly how they feel as soon as they say it, and it runs the gamut. In New York, oh my God, it's so weird. Because, I don't know, we have other things to do and talk about here, and I'm not trying to shit on New York. I love New York, and I voluntarily live there, so it's fine. But I think it's because they've talked about it forever. Also, the standardized testing situation in New York is such a nightmare. I love it because it pays my rent, but also it's so bad. And it's just this weird thing that you just don't talk about, and you feel nervous anytime you feel like you might bring it up because people are allowed to behave however they want. I worked in an advertising agency for a year, and I did a stupid thing, and I was sitting in my desk it was an open floor plan, fuck those, and my desk was right by where the door to the men's bathroom was, and I was wearing I was wearing this giant sweater with an H on it, and this wonderful copywriter named Richie walks by, and he's like, what's the H for? It's like, it's for Harvard. And he goes, you went? It's like, yeah, I did. He goes, good for you! And then goes to the bathroom. Richie doesn't give a fuck. I love Richie. The next day, we are in some type of meeting, and a restaurant in Boston gets brought up. I mentioned that I know it to, a guy named Brian, who's a creative director who has the, big fancy office right across from my desk. We talk about it for 2 seconds in the context of the client, and then the meeting is over. As we are leaving, Brian turns to me and he says, oh, did you grow up in the Northeast? And I'm like, oh no, I went to school there, which is where you learn to stop. You just say, I went to school there, stop. But fucking Richie was behind me, and he goes, she went to Harvard, and then leaves. And Brian turns to me and goes, you went to Harvard? And I was like, yeah. This man is 45 years old, has an incredible job on Park Avenue, and 3 gorgeous children and a lovely wife. And he says, you're not supposed to say that. And I say, I didn't say it. Richie did. And then he says, I have an MBA. To which I respond, from Harvard? Because why else would you say that? And then he's like, no. And then we parted ways. And it was new enough into my New York journey that it sort of shook me and upset me. And I called my parents, and I was like, I just think it's so dumb that, or I was texting them, I was like, I just think it's so dumb that, he's a 45-year-old man, he has a great job, he's my fucking boss, and, for whatever reason he feels threatened by a piece of paper that's still in plastic in its envelope, probably leaned up against the wall in my house behind a bunch of my mom's paintings or something. And my dad responds, that's exactly where it is, and sends me a picture of my diploma, up against a wall, behind all my friends' paintings. I should, the end of this story is MBA Brian, which is what my family calls him, and someday we're going to mess it up. But he was, my favorite person at that job. I do love him, and, I met his kid, and, I adore him so much, and I'm sure he would be mortified if I ever, recounted that story, but if he ever meets me, I'm going to probably scream, NBA Brian! He's going to be like, what? And I was going to be like, the NBA is sports! We talk about sports together! But that's kind of, what that was like. And you also get sort of, the Harvard benefit of the doubt, which is nice, because sometimes you have to, fight the lady thing. But what I did was I was a creative strategist, which means you come up with human insights. Let me tell you what those are. I'm going to make you all professional creative strategists right now. It's a formula. All you have to do is say, in the modern world, or today, or in 2016, word means, and then either the same word or the opposite of the word, more than ever before. That's it. That's an insight. You can go work in New York City for that. Examples of actual things I wrote in actual things for a job that gave me a 401k for a year. In the modern era, now means now more than ever before. For the modern consumer, more means less more than ever before. And finally, in 2016, new is a 4-letter word. Straight up, they let me go home. They were like, oh my God. And I was like, oh Jesus Christ, I have to get out of here. I have to leave. I have to leave. But that's the type of thing that, those are theoretically the things that spur, inventive things. Like, what do people want? They want frappuccinos that taste like s'mores. You know what I mean? Like, because, the summer is for camping or whatever. Have you guys tried the s'mores frappuccinos? Okay, they taste like s'mores. Like, straight up graham cracker chocolate marshmallow. And as soon as I try one, the only thing I can think of is, like, cancer should be over. Like, straight up, this syrup tastes like graham crackers. How have we not cracked cancer? Like, it's like, they made a frappuccino that tastes like cherry blossom lotion smells. And, like, people are still dying. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. I have no idea. It's a thing that was like, I don't know, now smell means taste more than ever before, or whatever. Whatever. So I stayed there for, like, straight up a year. I quit, like, the day that I was there for a year, to focus on, my writing and my comedy and the things that I loved. And, I was going to write a pilot, and I was going to do all this stuff. And then, oh my God, I fell in love, and it's so time-consuming. Guys, it takes so long, and it's, like, just this crazy thing. It never happened to me before, but... it's wonderful, and also I got this last 15 minutes of material out of it, so here we go. So, my boyfriend's name is Felipe. He is wonderful. He is from Colombia, the country. Here is how that is not spelled. With a U. It's not spelled like the city of Missouri, and it's not spelled like the college. This is something I learned far too late. And he tried so hard to be cool about it. He tried so hard. And finally, at one point, he just texted me, "You're gonna be so mad." And sent me a picture of a t-shirt that said, "It's Colombia, not Columbia." And then we had to make t-shirts. And then I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I did. I took the hit. I was like, this is not a situation where I forgot or, oh, I've been doing typos. Like, straight up, I thought it was spelled the same. I thought they were all spelled the same. He goes, I know. I've been subtly correcting you for the past, 3 weeks. And then he shows me screenshots of every time I've said it, he's responded with it spelled correctly. Like, how long does it take to fly to Colombia? A flight to Colombia takes, I then find out that he tweeted a screenshot of that, but I wasn't, following him on Twitter or whatever. Yeah, it's, a whole thing. That was I would say, most minor of my dumb American offenses. Here we go. Buckle in. So when we first started dating, we went to go see the movie Jackie. In case the opening assassination joke and then the bust of John Wilkes Booth when I was 7 didn't hit home, Love me some assassination content. So we're at Jackie, and there's a point where the song Camelot starts playing. And I get really excited. And I'm like, I like move. And he was like, why? What is that? What happened? And I was like, oh, well, one of John F. Kennedy's favorite songs was Camelot. And actually there's a record of it on the moon, because it was like one of his favorite songs. And I like kind of get back over my seat. And I'm thinking like awesome. Like I've impressed him with my, knowledge of the presidents. Like not a lot of people know that, awesome. And then it like slowly dawns on me that we are watching a movie about the president of a country that he did not grow up in's wife. And how really boring that must be. We have two of them in the US, and it's Princess Diana and Madonna, and that's the only wives of world leaders that we have any conception of. And so then I'm sort of mortified the whole time. I'm like, oh my god, I did a dumb thing and read this fucking Natalie Portman movie. But I knew he liked Star Wars, so I was like, okay, but she's Padme, so it's fine. And we're leaving the theater, and we're walking, we're talking about the movie, some interesting things, and he goes, Kennedy beat Nixon, right? And I'm like, I don't think, and he's like, no, yeah, he did. And we just sort of keep walking. And I go home that night and order 3 Columbian history books, which I have not read because I had to read 100 Years of Solitude, and I'm also learning Spanish, and my Harvard education is fucking useless. So there's that. So there's me doing the dumb shit. But then there's also all of the other people, and they're way worse than me. And never in my life have I... We just had an experience together about the whole Kansas, Missouri thing. Right? It's oh, that's annoying. Right? People think they know, about what it's like to live where you live. Oh my god. Every time we meet any new people ever, and it comes up that he's from Columbia, all I do is I just go, please don't say anything racist, please don't say anything racist, please don't say anything racist. And 9 times out of 10, the person will be like, oh my god, cocaine! And it's never, I will say, to this point, it has never been my friends, it has always been friends of my friends. It doesn't make it a lot better, but I feel a little bit better, and really I'm the one that's important here. But it's just incredible. I understand that we think that we're relating. I get that on some level, right? It's oh, you hear where a person is from and you relate to them with the information that you have about that place. Sure. But maybe for a second think, oh, do I maybe not have enough knowledge about this country besides the bad thing, the one bad thing that I know that I really don't know? I probably shouldn't, say it. I'm from Kansas. Oh, cool. How's not learning about evolution in public schools going? Or that shouldn't even count really, because Pablo Escobar died 30 years ago. So that thing is done. So it's more and this is even more recent, but oh, I'm from Missouri. Oh, you have a guy running for Senate that thinks you can just turn off rape. It's yeah, but also our baseball team's really good. And it's just, but I never know what to say, right? Because I'm bad at it anyway. I'm bad at it when it's cat callers or people doing weird stuff to me as a lady, and it's even worse when it's someone that I care about. And I know that it bothers him, but we're both just kind of God, oh, you're all so dumb, And what I've realized is that when I get upset about something like that, I find a very small thing about the person that makes me angry, and then I want to yell it about them, like some like small flaw in them as a human being. One time we were at like a thing, like a party with his friends. So it was like people who mostly knew him, and I was sort of the new girlfriend, and everybody was me. It was like, oh, she's from Kansas City. And somebody brought over this guy. His name was Jacob. He was wearing a flat bill. We should have known. But they bring him over and they're like, oh, Jacob's from Kansas City. And of course I go, oh, like Detroit? Like what? But I was like, oh my gosh, where are you from? And he was like, well, about an hour south of Topeka. And of course, in my heart, I'm going like, no. But I'm like, oh. And he goes, but I lived in Kansas City for a while. Oh, thank God. I was like, oh, really, where? Olathe. Oh, still no. But it's fine, right? I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to be like, oh, it's fine. Like we can talk. Oh, we're here in New York together. You and me, Flatville Jacob. And Felipe comes over, and I said it. Jacob's from Kansas City. And Felipe got excited because he loves me and cares that I found somebody from where I'm from. And he was like, oh, amazing. And Jacob goes, are you from Kansas City? And Felipe goes, no, I'm from Colombia. And Jacob goes, oh man, how's that cocaine thing going? And in my head, I just screamed, you're from Kansas City! But I didn't actually do it. I was more just like, and then we just like sort of left. But our roommate, we have this roommate who's like terrible, and I could straight up do another 30 minutes about him. He like never wears a shirt and like is an actor. And the annoying thing is he like makes money doing it, but he's just the most like, he talks like this. I don't even like know where to start. But he is also a stand-up, and like came into the house one day, like upset that this joke he told, where like the punchline was pretty rapey, like didn't land. And he was like, oh, you try to take risks. And I just wanted to be like, you think that food in dishes attracts gnats and it doesn't? It's standing water, and like you leave standing water in the pans. But I didn't. I was just like, oh, bummer. I'm sorry you can't take risks. Oh. That sucks for you. It's a bummer. But yeah, so like we share the apartment now with him. Like we're moving soon, I hope. But I like have started, because I have more of a kitchen, I've started cooking now. And the fact that chefs cook for us and we don't receive food with a giant bite out of it amazes me. Because how can anybody do that with confidence? How can anybody be like, I made this thing and I haven't tried it, gonna serve it to people for money? Like, I would make one dish, and I would like go to the window and be like, do they like it? Is it cooked? I don't know. Do they look happy? Should I apologize? I don't know. Like, I would cut off like a freaking like chunk of everything and send it out. Because I have this, I'm like, I get that I sort of have this like fuck it all personality, but I'm also very much a people pleaser. But I'm like a people pleaser and also a bitch, and so it's like this weird thing where I'm like kind of a show off, but also really want everyone to like me and also to do everything right. Which leads to a lot of like weird ass stuff when you're in school, because I was like not quite on the like I'm an okay human route yet, but was just close enough to like kind of suck, but anyone who knows people sees potential. A lot of my high school teachers are here tonight. The reason that I called this show I Can Rap the Raven is because my junior year of high school, my junior year English teacher was like, I think that is bad. That's not at all how he talks. He was like, you guys know what would be fun is if when you memorize a poem, like you feel closer to it. And so like I want you all to memorize a poem before the end of the year. That'll be your honor. That's how you do your honors. I was like, oh my god, you know what I'm gonna fucking do? I'm gonna memorize The Raven. I don't know how to have friends. So I was like, I'm gonna memorize The Raven. And I was really into spoken word poetry at the time. And I was reading it and like saying it, and I was like, oh my god, you can rap The Raven. And I was the first person to ever think of it. And I was like, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna rap The Raven. I'm gonna rap the whole Raven. Nobody else can do it. It's so cool. It's the only poem that works. It's the only poem that you can rap. So I'm gonna roll in and be like, once upon a minute, dreary as a pounder, weak and weary over many quick curious volume of forgotten lore, as I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping as if someone gently rapping between my door, to the visitor I'm mother rapping between my door, only this and nothing more. I distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and he suffered dying ember, odds go to one floor, eagerly wished tomorrow, and they had a to borrow from this bookstore to stars, so I pulled the lock the door, with that rare read me from the angel's name and Norton, and it's forevermore. And no one else is going to be able to do it. You can't rap any other poems. B, like it doesn't work. It's like B, because I could not separate, I think kindly stop for me, fuck. I think that I shall never see a poem as lovely as it. God damn it, you can rap all the poems. You can rap them all. The Raven is not a special poem. It does not matter, but you know what? I went up to my teacher, and I was like, I'm going to rap The Raven. And he was like, great. Oh. Cool. So I did. And my class was like, fine, cool. They were all doing other shit. They were like, that was great. Are you done? That was great. Are you done? I have a very short amount of time left. But I do really quickly want to say that I came home from New York. This show was originally supposed to be a show with me and my sister, who's the greatest person in the world. We were going to do the two of us, and we were going to do a show about sisterhood. But she's completing her comedy training at the Second City Theater and then going to the Edinburgh Fringe as a selective intern with this other improv group. So I was like, okay, fine. I guess if you don't want to come to the basement of Westport Coffee House, you know, go to Scotland instead. And they I lucked out. They hadn't put all of my stuff through. Everybody in this organization hates me right now because they're just like, here's this new show that I'm doing. What? You need paperwork? But part of the reason that I did it and that I can't do it was because this is the place where Kansas City Fringe is where you flex your muscles and you do new shows. And you were not expecting to get called out, and I am so sorry. But there's a kid who went to my high school. He goes there right now, and they're about to tour his show that he just wrote. I saw it yesterday. They're doing it here, and then they're doing it in Edinburgh. He's right there. I saw it yesterday. It's called A Picture's Worth $5, which is also an incredible title. If you look up any of the show times of this show, it's happening within a half hour of all of them, except for this one. And I'm so glad that Ethan is here because I want to do this very brief little thing that Mr. Kohler's going to get very mad at me for. But my high school and a little bit of middle school drama teacher is here. And I have two quick little stand-up stories about him. One is that he came to the first show that I ever did in New York City. I did a sketch show. And it was such a blessing and a wonderful thing, and I was so happy. And we went out for drinks after, and I kept introducing him. Deborah was like, I was like, this is Mr. Kohler. And he was like, just fucking call me Bob. Dear God, please stop introducing me to everyone as Mr. Kohler. We're all above the age of 25. Please stop. Please stop. But the other one that I want to tell, because it's why this show exists, and I firmly believe that, and I'm not going to cry. When I was 15 years old, we did a show called Rent the Musical at at Barstow. It was the first production of its kind in Missouri, and a lot of people tried to stop it from happening, and they could not, and it was great. Mr. Kohler cast me as Maureen, who's like this like bisexual performance artist, which was really cool in its own right because I was like a kind of chubby 15-year-old, and like the idea of being a sex object was like something that was really cool and empowering for me. But she has this song, and it's called Over the Moon, and it's her own performance piece. It's the first one-woman show I ever did, was in Rent the Musical. And we went in, we had a private rehearsal, the two of us, where we were working on this piece. And I walked in, and I was like, okay, I'm ready. And I stood in the middle, and he said, no, come here, sit down. And I sat at the front of the stage, and he said, so what are you thinking? And I said, what? And he said, what are you thinking? This is your song. And from that moment on, until literally I'm 24 years old and I just rapped The Raven for a bunch of people that I like kind of know, some of them I know, some of them I don't. I have entered every theater I've ever been in feeling worthy of taking control of my own song. And he's still doing it 7 years later. Instead of, they're touring Edinburgh, he's touring a 17-year-old's show. It's a great show. It's taking a lot of risks, and it's wonderful, and he's taking kids, and he is starting people on, like, the journey that I'm on, and it's wonderful. And he's here with two of my other teachers, who are also great, and this is, like, a little bit that I say all the time, which is another thing that is why I do the show, which is, I was a rule follower, I was a little shit. Okay, we've been there, right? I memorized Green Eggs and Ham, I did the Toast of John Wilkes Booth, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, I was a rule follower. And if at any point over the first 16 years of my life, any person had told me to sit down and shut up, I would have done it, and I would have done it forever. But because no one did, now no one can. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Rachel.